Welcome to Positive Atheism English channel. I am Dr. Sudeepthi Vardhan, Atheist Center, Vijayawada. The Need of Atheism by Gora. Chapter 1. Atheism means moral freedom. Atheism asserts the independence of the individual. It denies the existence of power, natural or supernatural, which determines human life. For a long time, people have been suppressing that their lives are determined by God, fate or natural law. But the daily experience of free will disproves the existence of any determining factor. Yet, people have believed in the existence of a God, etc. on account of their slave-mindedness. Slave mind seeks a prop, and an early prop it took to was a notion of God. Slave-mindedness came to be known as theism and its opposite as atheism. Positively, atheism means the experience of free will, which is the opposite of slave mind. The belief in the existence of God is followed by the associated beliefs in the existence of soul, of other worlds and of rebirth. Atheism exposes all these beliefs as false. The old philosophies, politics, economics, ethics and aesthetics were influenced by the slave-mindedness of theism. Now atheism reinterprets them in the light of free will. Theism postulated a creator or a metaphysical reality and subordinated human life to it. But atheism reveals the fact that concept of a creator or of an ultimate reality is just man's understanding of the phenomena around him. Man is the creator of the notion of creation and he is the author of the proposition of ultimate reality. There is no universe as entity. Universe is a product of man's understanding. It is what man thinks it is. The difference between theistic and atheistic understanding is the difference between going from universe to man and going from man to universe. If we go from universe to man, then man's life becomes part of the universe and as such, it is subordinate to it. On the other hand, if we proceed from man to universe, then man becomes supreme and the concept of universe is but an understanding of man. The former is an expression of slavish subordination and the latter expresses man's freedom of understanding. The interferences of creation and the metaphysical methods of ontology and teleology are processes of human understanding under the influence of slave mind. The metaphysical understanding postulated a reality which is superior to the human being and thereby subordinated human life to an ultimate reality. This satisfied the slave mind, but atheistic metaphysics uses the same methods as tools of understanding. To the atheist, causation is not a compelling process but a degree of probability whose validity increases with the proximity to the event and with the insight of the seeker. An anticipation of tomorrow is more probable than one of 10 days hence or of an anticipation of a more distant future. Social and political understanding. Likewise, atheism knows that society is the common understanding between the different members. The common understanding may be increased or decreased at the will of each person. Further, there is individuality of each member beyond the common understanding. So, society is a part of man's whole understanding. Thus, society is subordinate to man, but man is not subordinate to society. Society is that part of the individual which he contributes to common understanding with fellow men. A citizen's relation to his government is similar to a member's relation to his society. A government derives authority from the respect which citizens give to the law of state and a government collects revenues from the taxes which citizens pay. If a considerable section of the people lost respect for law or pay no taxes, and government is bound to collapse. So, people are the masters and government is only their creation. The superiority of a citizen over the government is more patent in democracy where a government is formed by the votes which citizens cast. So, atheistic politics treats people as masters and the heads of state, kings, presidents or ministers as servants of the people. Atheistic politics maintains the freedom of the citizen. This is the opposite of the theistic politics which claim sovereignty for the state and calls for the obedience of the people. Marx's doctrine was theistic in a sense which it subordinated the individual consciousness to the social consciousness and to property relations. Atheism, on the other hand, considers civilization to be the progressive control of material forces by human skill, which is supreme in every situation. Man, the master. By and large, atheism looks upon man as a master of all situations, which is the opposite of theistic stand, wherein man is deemed to be slave of God, fate, government, custom or circumstances. When people feel themselves as masters, they race to act to achieve. Thus, atheism releases the immense human power that lay fettered by the theistic fate that man was not free but a slave of God or circumstances. The indolence of honest theists afforded a handle for cheats to exploit gullibility and to amass wealth and power. Wide inequalities cropped up in theistic way of life, with the honest man at the bottom and the crooks at the top. No police force or military power can consign millions of people through hundreds of generations to humiliating untouchability, grinding poverty or political slavery, except by the willing surrender of the people when they feel they are not free. Atheism remedies the wrong. When people feel free, they resent downtroddeness. They raise against inequalities. All free people live equally because they belong to the same kind. Indeed, the establishment of equality is the test of atheism. Atheism as a corrective. Marxism and Gandhism also have equality for their objective, but so far both have achieved only partial success because both have failed to adapt atheism. Marxism has recourse to political dictatorship for achieving economic equality. Gandhism played into the hands of reactionary elements because Gandhi used theistic language to explain atheistic methods. Despite their honest efforts, neither of them could awaken the mass of mankind from their habitual apathy and indolence because they did not openly preach atheism. So, some kind of dictatorship has become necessary for them. Open atheism cures these evils. Prophets like Jesus and Muhammad also were more atheistic than their contemporaries. The atheistic content in their teachings roused the masses to rebel against dishonesty and downtroddenness. But the remnants of theistic beliefs in their teachings allowed scope for reaction and corruption to rise again. Therefore, the progress of civilization has not been straight and rapid so far. Side by side with eminent ethical teachings and glorious philanthropic work, we have war and prejudice. Side by side with the highest technological achievements, we have gross superstition. This contradiction is due to the mixture of habitual theistic beliefs and progressive atheistic tendencies in our life. Only avowed atheism could avoid the evils and make ethical and technological progress straight and rapid. Moral freedom. Indeed, the individual is the source of all endeavor. He has to shoulder the whole responsibility for his actions. Only when he takes that responsibility does he learn from experience. But the theistic faith tempted him to shove the responsibility for the results of his actions on God, fate or circumstances. The shirking of responsibility has not enabled man to grow wiser than he was in ages past. Otherwise, there would have not been untouchability, poverty and war in modern civilization. The freedom of individual is not absolute but is tempered by moral obligations. The freedom of one should not impede the freedom of another. This consideration of one's fellow man makes it necessary for freedom to be moral freedom. If morality is not observed through self-discipline, it will have to be imposed by social pressure. This is the basis of the Gandhian principle of Satyagraha. Constructive work. On account of the importance of the individual endeavor in building up civilization, constructive work seems to play an important role. But its results are limited to their scope because social relations are growing wide and complex day by day. Hence, civilization has forged the institution of government to reach all aspects of social relations. Just as a microphone is used to address big gatherings, a government should be used to deal with wide and complex social relationship with comfort. The use of government is called politics, and politics is the need of modern civilization. The character of civilization, however, renders a government unwieldy unless people control the government with political consciousness. But theistic faith divided the attention of the people between God and government, and weakened people's control over their government. Consequently, a few professional politicians enjoyed a large share of the advantages of a government, while the mass of people paid the taxes and received little in return. They cursed stars and sat helplessly silent. In this plight, call for non-political activity is a cry of despair, unless the call is accompanied by a program of non-cooperation and non-payment of taxes, which condemns institution of government altogether and relies upon constructive work only. Otherwise, a non-political worker is the present setup is like a foolish master who pays the servants but does the work himself. On the other hand, the appropriate call should be for an increase in political consciousness and activity. Decentralization of government administration into handy basic units of self-government and their progressive federation, tier by tier, into a world government with wider but fewer powers will help people's control over government. Nevertheless, the political outlook is imperative in modern civilization. Along with decentralization, partylessness makes democracy belong to the people more than the old sectarian and aristocratic ways could. Voluntary action. Despite the need for politics, atheists are not blind to the role of voluntary activity in domestic and neighborly relations. The spread of scientific education with a view to dispelling superstition, replacement of ornamental and commercial gardens with food crops until there is no scarcity of food anywhere in the world, encouragement of interdining and intermarriages to pull down communal and racial isolation, and a revision of marital customs in order to remove the handicaps to which women's motherhood is subject, are some of the items of the constructive program, which are contemporary to political action. Constructive work is a good training to develop an individual into a conscious citizen who can control his government confidently. Let the atheists understand the implications of positive atheism and formulate political and constructive programs and help establish equality. Thank you.
For more videos, please subscribe to our Positive Atheism English channel presented by Dr. Samaram Multi-Channel Network, which has 19 crores 50 lakhs views and running towards 20 crores views. Please like, subscribe and share our videos. And for notification of our new videos, please click the bell icon.
Please download Samaram Multi-Channel app and watch your favorite channels from your mobile. App available on Google Play Store and subscribe to the channels.